here with Laura Roberts from Chicago Title, and we're going to be talking about how to read a title commitment. So we have a flyer here that we want to share. So we're going to go ahead and bring that up on the screen, and then we're going to go over it together. Okay, so here is our flyer we're going to go over. So tell us a little bit about what title commitment is.
So a title commitment is the title company's promise to issue a title insurance policy at the close of the transaction.
Okay.
A commitment for title insurance is issued at the beginning of the transaction when you're buying, selling, or refinancing, and its purpose is to report the status of the title and the conditions under which the title company will issue a policy once the transaction closes.
Okay, so does the title commitment affect the real estate process?
Yes, it does. Because before you actually close on your property, you'll want to know everything you can about it.
Okay.
So it includes things that might affect title to it, such as who owns it or who can use it. And the best way to find out about such things is to perform a careful review of the title commitment for title defects, liens, encumbrances, which would be excluded from the title insurance policy if we were to issue the policy at that point.
Okay. And then, so what are the most important parts of the commitment that we want to pay attention to?
All of them.
Well, of course, all of them.
So let's talk about the different types, the different sections that are involved in the title commitment.
Okay.
There's 3 different sections we're going to be discussing today. The first one is what we call Schedule A.
Okay.
Schedule A contains information about the policy, the property, and the parties involved. So it's going to show the sales price of the property, who owns the property, is there a new lender coming on, the legal description. So it gives the information about, again, just what that property entails.
Okay. And then how about section B1?
So B1 is considered requirements, is what we call that on the title insurance commitment. And it sets out matters which must be furnished or addressed prior to the closing. So that would include things like the existing mortgage on the property, judgments that may appear, different things like that that are shown on the public records when we search the property.
Okay, so I had a recent issue on one of my title commitments for my seller, and it showed a judgment with someone that just had a very similar name, but it had nothing to do with them. It kind of freaked him out. So how did that happen, and how do we resolve it?
Great question. I love that, because this is the most important part to review to make sure there are things that may affect our transaction or may not. We run a general index search on the names of the parties involved in the transaction.
So
Laura,
it's not tied to the address per se or social security number. It's just a general name search.
Right, for that portion of it, exactly. So with a very common name, say you're running Laura Roberts, there could be things that pop up as Laura Roberts that might not be associated with me.
Okay.
So when you see those matters or see things that might look like they don't belong to the property, it's really important to get in touch with your escrow officer and have that discussion. We're human, things happen. There might be things on there that are incorrect, but we do put items on there that may not be Laura Roberts, but maybe my middle initial is E and the judgment shows J. So that can easily be removed, or we can remove some items with a social security number, previous addresses, things like that. So it's really important to have that discussion when you see things on there that don't look correct.
Okay, so with that, it's really important that both the buyer and the seller side really take time to review these title commitments.
Exactly, yes.
And it is the responsibility, whose responsibility is it to review these?
Really both parties do want to review them.
Okay.
The seller to make sure there's not things on there that are erroneous and we shouldn't be part of the policy. And then items to the buyer to make sure those items are removed and they can get clear title.
Okay.
So having those discussions when you see things on there, again, are really important. And your buyer or your seller wants to look at that carefully to make sure they're aware of what the search is showing at that point.
Okay. And then how about section B2?
So section B2 are your exceptions. Those are things that are not covered on your title insurance policy. So that's especially important for buyers to review to make sure they accept those items when they're purchasing a property.
Okay. All right. And then I have one more question as the realtor. What is my responsibility to the title commitment?
I love that. So, it's important that you make recommendations to your clients of when they need to call us.
Mhm.
It's not your responsibility as a realtor to advise on those items, but it's important for you to know, and working with a good agent such as yourself understands when to make those phone calls to talk to the title company about items or an attorney.
Okay.
So reviewing those with your client, you can make that determination, and again, make those recommendations to either talk to the title company or if you need to take further steps.
All right. Thank you so much. I think this was so helpful. I hope you guys found it very helpful as well. Thank you for joining us through all of these videos on title, and we look forward to working together.
Yes.
And as my sellers, this is one of the title companies that I absolutely love to work with and have a lot of trust in. So again, if you're going to be one of my sellers, you will probably run into Chicago Title and Laura Roberts and her team. So again, thank you so much for your time today, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you, Jack.